spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here once again, coming soon podcast, coming to you from Texas. My guest today, of course, published author, my man, Darren Frey. And I didn't even ask you, where about are you at, bro?
I'm in West Virginia.
Okay. And of course, man, you had hit me up last week. I mean, you are a published writer, an author. Man, there's a lot. I mean, when I had looked you up last week, there was a lot of writings as far as what you've done, a lot of, the books that you have published. And the one thing that kept popping up was the word obstacles, my man. So I want to know what these obstacles are, if you don't mind talking to us about that.
It's the first time I've heard it like that, but no, I'm visually impaired. I'm legally blind. I have retinitis pigmentosa. So that's been probably the biggest one, but I don't know. I mean, I've had I guess it's been a crazy journey so far. That's really what my writing's kind of been about, just my life and just things like I incorporate into fictional stories, and that's really been it. Just I draw my inspiration from life. So yeah, that's
okay. No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, being an artist, because that is what you do. I mean, of course, you're gonna consume as far as what's around you. I mean, of course, things that you've gone through, things that you see.
Yeah.
I mean, from the books that you actually published. I mean, what was it that inspired each book? Because I believe you have 3 out there right now.
Well, one of them I wrote a long time ago, and that was The Blood Reapers, but that's not really, that's been unpublished for a long time. But I always kind of wanted to reboot it. Basically, like when I wrote it the first time, I was in a really bad relationship, and that was kind of my escape. But at the same time, I was just having a lot of difficulty writing it. I didn't get to write it the way I wanted, but I also realized that it wasn't even complete because what I wanted to write about hadn't even happened yet. So then fast forward to 2019, and I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and I started writing Psychonautic, which was more based on myself. The first time around, the main character, Julian Frost, was like from Paris, and he had his own story, but I wanted to make it more real, more about me, kind of use that as like a source for healing, because I had just got out of an 11-year relationship. I was having a very bad relationship with my grandfather and others in my family, and I just kind of took that as the opportunity to write, to kind of write about my life, let it all out there, and use my own life story as my character's backstory. So that's pretty much where the idea for the first one came from. And then after I finished it, I was like, okay, I want to continue this. So that's where the second book came from.
Well, let me ask you, because the first one you brought up, you sent me 2 images. And of course, this is the first one that you were talking about, correct?
Yeah, Psychonautic, yeah.
And of course, the continuation. Well, let me ask you this, because on the first one, I mean, of course, it was through, life, that you experienced. Of course, like you said, you added a lot of it. What was it that inspired the second one? Because you said you wanted to continue it. So was there still more hurt, I guess I can say?
Not so much for the second one. I mean, the second one does still have like, elements of the first one, like going back and referring to things that happened in the first book. But no, the first one, Psychonautic, was more just about like I said, about my life and just kind of just putting it all out there. But then in Dreams, though, the way the first book ended, it was just like a continuation, like the story, like the evolution of Julian Frost, like moving beyond everything I had experienced up to that point, and then just opening up to this whole world. Like it's a vampire story, like bringing in new characters, offering so much backstory, like the lore and mythos of the vampires and their story, and like an expansion on that world. So that's pretty much kind of moving away from my own life to this new life of this character that he's adopted. And so, yeah, that's...
Man, well, let me ask you, I mean, when it comes to writing, I mean, was this something that you have been doing like for years, or did you just jump on it like once you were going through that incident?
I've always loved to write. I guess it's just like back in 2011 when I wrote The Blood Reapers, which was, like I said, just a very, very early draft of Psychonautic, basically. That was my first attempt at trying to take myself serious, but it just kind of fell apart. I was just in a really bad place, and it didn't really take off like I wanted it to, or like I didn't take off with it like I wanted to. And then Psychonautic was my second attempt. I was taking writing classes while I was living in Las Vegas, trying to get better at like sentence structuring and stuff like that. And it just kind of, I really, what prompted me to write it was while I was there, I went to an ayahuasca retreat because I just wanted to try to figure out what I could do to just bring it all to the surface and how to just deal with it and wipe it all clean and start over. And just, I got the message, to write that book. And I was like, okay, well, why don't I? I've always loved to write. I've always felt like I had some sort of purpose, so that's kind of where that came from.
Nice, bro. Well, I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm sure now that you did write the book, I mean, is this something that you're glad you did? I mean, obviously you're happy about it.
Yeah, I am happy, and it helped. Writing it helped a lot. I mean, there's of course there's always going to be stuff there. Like nobody's perfect, but it does help. Like it does help, and so yeah, like there's another book that I'm working on that has nothing to do with this series, but still kind of taps into those emotions, like those raw just feelings and emotions. And so it is, I mean, it's very therapeutic for me. I mean, it's something that I do like to do. It's something that I hope can entertain others, help others who are, going through similar issues to what I have. And hopefully, they can read it and learn something and go and create something positive with what they learn.
No, for sure, man. Because one of the things, and even my kids, my youngest actually quoted me on it one time, which I was like, okay, they're paying attention. But I would always tell them when they were kids, I said, look, the opposite of depression is expression. So if you ever feel sad, if you ever feel down, I said, express it. Go out, go sing, go jump, go, do something creative, because it's
Yeah.
something that I was told this like when I was like in middle school, and it just stayed with me. And it's true, man, because I mean, a lot of times we use music to escape, we use writing, we use art, and I think because of that, and I've said it before in other episodes, I think that's why a lot of these artists are so damn good, because there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of personal feel, touch, feel, that when they put it out there, like other people feel the same thing, and they're thinking, man, it soothes the soul, man. I mean, it helps other people, out of their funk if they're in one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Man, and of course, you had mentioned that as far as your, is it the publishing company?
No, I self-published, but
Okay, okay.
I have been working lately with Nightmare Press. I've been doing some editing work with them, and I haven't made the official announcement yet. I guess this could be it, but I'm planning on republishing Psychonautic and In Dreams with Nightmare Press. So,
Oh, nice, nice. Man, well, what about the Blood Reaper? You said that was one that you wanted to go back to. I mean, can that one come back as well?
um, that one's probably pretty much done and over because, like, even now going back and looking at it, I'm not very happy with it. Like, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to put in it, and as I said, I was in just a bad relationship at the time with somebody who was kind of looming over me the whole time I was writing it, and like, oh, that you shouldn't put that in there. That's bad. That's bad. I'll leave you if you put that in there, and just so. Just but no, but I had though. I mean, those characters though, like a lot of the elements of that is what came into Psychonautic, like just the characters or backstories. But so I just kind of feel like that was just a real like early rough draft of what Psychonautic would later become. But
Nice.
I mean, maybe someday, maybe someday I may go back to it, and look it over again and consider republishing it. But right now, I think it's just pretty much gonna stay where it's at.
No, sounds fair, man. So of course, I mean, when you say you're gonna go ahead and I mean, are you gonna tweak any of these books as far as coming back? I mean, is anything gonna change on them, or is it just gonna be the pressing?
Well, they're like I said, they're like moving forward after Psychonautic, like In Dreams. though it is still kind of like a horror dark fantasy, it kind of goes more into like the dark fantasy. Like there's like as it goes into the backstories of all these vampires. Like there's one of them who was a Viking before he became a vampire. There's one of them who's like an albino who always just kind of referred to herself as a fairy. You know, she's not a fairy, but still, just I mean, it just has a very like a fantasy sort of element to it. And moving forward with the third book, Through Dead Eyes, which I'm working on right now, this is going to be kind of like Julian, my main character. All along, he's had others, you know, with him, teaching him, and he's kind of always had somebody right there to guide him. But this is going to be more of like his solo journey, like everything he's learned going forward, and just going to be complete like havoc and carnage and just destruction and everything. Like so, but as far as like going back and tweaking anything goes, I don't really have any plans on that, but once this third book is finished, I would like to put them all three into one special edition hardcover novel, because I mean each of them has their own beginning, middle, and end, but then when you put them together, they kind of tell like a 3-act story structure. So I'd like to kind of put that out there and maybe add like a special epilogue at the end for things that might come afterwards. So,
Nice, nice. That's one way to hug people, man, for sure. You know, they're gonna finish reading and be like, "Where's the rest of it?" You know.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you. You were talking as far as them being, you know, horror stories, because of course, you mentioned the vampires. My question was, I personally had never thought about vampires because, say, if the first one say started in the 1600s, every century, you know, there could be new vampires, and I never thought about that. So you mentioned that once a Viking, once a, you know, albino, and I'm thinking, you know what, that's crazy because I had never thought about like vampires. I always assumed it was from the same timeline. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, these are from all throughout history. Like I have some that are thousands of years old, like from the times of ancient Egypt, and like they're all going to have their own unique stories. Like even after this, like I do after this third book, I do want to continue the story from a different character's
Yeah.
perspective. But then I also kind of would love to go back and write books about these other characters, like their past lives, you know, like what happened before they became vampires, or just other things that were going on, you know, behind the scenes, even as this series is happening. So, I mean, I have lots just by writing that first book, and then in dreams especially, I've been able to come up with just tons of ideas that can basically probably keep me busy for the rest of my life.
Man, well, that's not a bad thing though, because I mean, just the fact that you brought up backstories. Personally, for me, like when I see, you know, a film and I'm watching it, and like there's characters in there that I'm thinking like, man, I wonder what they went through before they became, you know, they were a victim, or before they came, you know, into the movie, because I mean, there's got to be a backstory. You know, the
Yeah,
fact that you mentioned different characters, dude, I could open up that rabbit hole that people are going to be like, man, where does this end? You know, it's just going to be ongoing. But that's the great thing about writing. You know, you kind of never stop.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. And of course, I mean, when you were writing this, like right off the bat, for example, you know, with the first book, I mean, the characters, did you already have backstories for them, or were the characters just like, okay, you know what, this is where it's going to start? Backstories came later.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of characters like Violet, who is Julian's main love interest. She's the vampire, and I created her a long time ago back when I wrote the Blood Reapers, and then like her maker, the one who made her a vampire, and then the one who kind of guides Julian along his way, Xavier. I came up with his story, and then a lot of the other characters that are in it are people from my own past, people that, you know, that have been in my life, that I just, you know, kind of fictionalized them. Like I changed their names and just a little bit here and there about them, so it wasn't exactly them.
Right.
Like I kind of, like I said, like in the story, Julian is writing his own life story over all the things that had happened to him, just like I went and took ayahuasca and, you know, received the message that I need to write this book. in the book, Julian does the same thing, and that's how it all kind of starts coming together. Is he's like through writing his own book, the reader is going to be learning about him, and then as he meets Violet and starts opening up to her, the reader finds out the rest. So that's kind of where that kind of goes. But that didn't really happen in the Blood Reapers. The characters were pretty much somewhat the same but different, like a different story and different situation.
Man, well, that's definitely interesting, man. Because of course, it's been a minute since I've gotten lost in a book. You know, I used to take a lot of road trips. I used to live in Florida, so Greyhound. I'll pick up a couple books and read them all the way out here.
Oh God, I know all about Greyhound. I've been back and forth across the country 3 times. That friggin' thing, just nightmare.
I was gonna say, as dreadful as they were, I mean, they weren't all bad, but yeah, you get a lot of quiet time, so it's like, I mean, I would get lost in the book, and after, like, I would stop somewhere and I'm thinking about this book, and in my head it's like a movie, and I'm like, man, like, it was that good, like I really did sink my teeth into it, and it's just but yeah, man, I miss missing here at work. I mean, we have a book club, and of course the women pick their books, so it was what it was on that end. But I mean, I'm looking to start picking making my choices and see if they want to follow through. If not, I mean, at least I'll start reading on my own and just keep go from there.
Yeah, and seeing you were talking about how like you kind of envision in your head like a movie, like seeing it happening. That's one thing that I really want to accomplish with my writing, is that it can kind of come alive in the reader's heads, like they can kind of see it. Because I try to be very visual, which is kind of ironic because I'm losing my eyesight and everything, but I try to be very visual and try to paint a very good, vivid picture in the reader's head. That way they can be right there, and seeing it as clearly as they possibly can. Like that's something that I think is, very important, that I value about my writing, is being able to put the reader right there in that moment. And yeah.
And you see, and I'm sure, and let me ask you, because I mean, you did bring up the fact that you were legally blind. Is that like, where does that come from? I mean, is that hereditary? Is it health?
Yeah, it's a hereditary condition. I was born with it, and it's retinitis pigmentosa. Like slowly over time, I'm losing my eyesight. Like it causes just like distorted, like blurriness, like tunnel vision. And it sometimes it'll progress rapidly. Other times, it'll be like remission where nothing will happen. And then just over these last couple of years, since I hit my 40s, it's just like bam. Like lately, I've been having to work with like a blind mobility cane. I've been having to learn Braille, learn how to use a computer once I do go blind, so I can keep writing and everything. And it's been a challenge and gets overwhelming at times, but at the same time, I'm not backing down. It is me. This is my life. I can either learn how to cope with it and keep going, or I can just sit here and rot, basically. And I don't want to do that.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, I would assume, like, I mean, because when you told me you were as far as being legally blind, I was like, man, I wonder if he was born blind. I mean, I had questions, so I was kind of curious. But my thing is, like, even now, because of course you can still see, sporadic. There's times where it does get bad, but at the same time, when that time comes, I mean, you're still going to be able to see memories, right? You still be able to see colors. You still be able to. I mean, just in hindsight, I guess, But
yeah,
man, I mean, yeah, I hope for the most part, I hope it does get better, man. Because I mean, there's a lot to see here, and the fact that you're writing, I mean, hopefully, I mean, definitely don't stop, because I mean, it's going to be one of those things where even though you won't be able to see, like you said, you'll still be able to see a lot more than we can, because of your writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. And as far as influential, man, I mean, what out there as far as gives you the mindset to get up there and start writing? I mean, is there something that inspiration? I mean, is it music? Is it other writers?
Well, a lot of things, actually. I mean, I grew up a huge horror fan. My love of vampires originally first came from The Lost Boys. It came out back in '87, and then when Interview with the Vampire, the movie, when it first came out, I fell in love with it because that was the first real serious vampire movie I sat down and watched. And then I started, reading Anne Rice back when I could still see to read. Like now, I can only really read on a computer screen. 'Cause I can't even hardly really see like words in a book anymore. But music wise, I mean, I've always loved music. Got like a big Tool tapestry in the background. I love Tool; they're my favorite band. Just, I mean, I draw inspiration from pretty much everything. Anything that just ideas just seem to come to me at random. I suppose just life in general, I guess, inspires me.
Oh no, for sure, man. And that's one of the things because even like myself, I had my 50th birthday last week, and I
You
thought it
do
was.
not look 50 at all.
I know everybody's like, you're going bald. You have a, always wearing my hat. I'm like, nope, still got my hair, man. But yeah, man. And but for me, I kept thinking about it because people, my kids were like, oh, Dad, you're gonna be 50, and I thought it was gonna hit me hard. I don't know, for some reason, I was expecting to wake up and be like 100. It's kind of weird, but no, man, it was just another day. I don't celebrate it. I celebrate every day, bro. I mean, I always tell people, and it's might sound cheesy, but it's just like, man, just waking up every day and, I still got my fingers. I can still walk. I'm like, dude, I'm grateful. There's a lot to be grateful for. And it's just like, I mean, I try to accomplish one thing a day. I mean, of course, I got to come to work, but I mean, on my own personal, like I try to get something done to that way, motivate myself for the next day and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work on this. And sure enough, and I don't put my expectations high. I'm not like, man, I'm going to, you know, interview, Stephen King tomorrow. Like, I mean, someday maybe, who knows? But it's just like, I mean, being able to, get guys like yourself, man. I mean, artists that a lot of people might not know about because I mean, they Google your name and you pop up everywhere, man. So people should know who you are.
Thanks for that. Yeah, yeah, everything. Yeah, every day is a gift, and it doesn't sound cheesy at all. Like a lot of people just don't realize what they take for granted. Like people are just, So yeah, I mean, yeah, as long as you have, you have like a roof over your head, you got good food to eat, and you just have like just air in your lungs, and I mean, yeah, I mean, life is a gift, so
No, no, for sure, bro.
cherish what you have, and yeah.
And let me ask you, when it comes to writing, I mean, is this something that you share in the family? Are there like cousins, aunts, mom, dad, and were they writers themselves?
No, I'm the only one who I'm the only writer, as far as I know, unless somebody does it in secret, because
Right. No, but that's cool, man. I mean, definitely inspiration, for whether it's going to be family members or people that follow you. Because myself, like I used to always tell people, like in middle school, um, I mean, of course, I just said my age, right? I turned 50 this year, but for me, growing up, I mean, it was more comic books, of course. I used to read a lot of comics. I used to write a lot. And I used to do what I guess some people would be like, man, those are poems. I never thought about it like that. I was just write, like whatever happened that day, I would just write about it. And, for some reason, a lot of times it would rhyme. So it was kind of funny. But in high school, the same thing. I used to have a novel and I used to just write, I mean, whatever happened that day, I would just put it on paper and, and I would never go back and read it. It was just, for me, it was just a peace of mind, my therapy, I guess, at that time. But, I had a buddy in high school, and like one day he's like, "Man, what's this?" And he's these songs, and I said, "Nah, bro, it's just stuff I'm writing." And he was going through it, and he's like, "Can I borrow it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And like later on that week, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go practice after school, man." They were in a garage band, right? So he was like, "If you want, like, come with us, dude. We're gonna jam out." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So I get there, and he starts singing the song, and I'm like, he kind of looks at me, funny, like. And so after he's done, he was all like, "Hey, what'd you think?" And I said, "Oh, that's pretty cool, man." Like, and he's like, "Yeah, that's one of your poems, dude. I freaking turned it into a song." And I was like, "What the world?" Like, I was, because I had, I wrote it, but I didn't go back and reread it like 100 times, so I wasn't really sure. But I just thought that was pretty cool, man, because I was just like, well, it does make sense, because I think the one that he rewrote was it was called Youth Decay, right? And it was just about being young and wasting your life, and people around me that were just on drugs and doing nothing and just decaying, and it was just more
Yeah.
personal than anything. But I was just like, you know what? I mean, he definitely, it inspired him to write a song with it, man. And so that was pretty cool. But with that being said, bro, because you talked earlier as far as people reading your your writing and thinking like, man, it's a movie. I mean, have you thought about maybe if somebody'd be interested out there to turning into a movie?
That'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the thoughts crossed my mind. That would be nice, but you know, maybe one day.
Oh, no, no, for sure, man. Because I mean, everybody loves vampires, bro. I mean, as far as the your influence, you mentioned the Lost Boys. I mean, that's a given. That's definitely a favorite. Vampire, movie itself. I mean, growing up, I mean, of course, everything we watched were reruns. The beginning of our youth. We didn't have cable, but we got to see a lot of black and white. The old you know vampires, Dracula. The old
Yeah,
Frankenstein movies. So definitely inspiration, man. I mean, it was great stuff, bro. So,
yeah.
and of course, man, I mean, with these books, I mean, what are you looking to do, man? I mean, are you doing writings? Are you doing signings? Are you doing anything to promote?
Well, right now, sadly, the only thing I'm really doing promotion wise is just on Facebook because where I am visually impaired, I don't have reliable transportation to get around. I mean, I would love to go to conventions and get out there and meet people in person because it's like a whole other world out there besides social media. Because lately, I've been learning social media can be a very toxic place
Oh,
for horror authors especially, and I mean a lot of different people. I mean, not just authors, but so yeah, I would like to learn more marketing skills to try to figure out how to get my work out there, beyond like Facebook and places like that, and maybe one day one of my books could, land in the right hands. Somebody who sees it and like, hey, I could make this into a movie. I mean, that would be great. I mean, it'd be a big dream, but that would be great.
no,
Because
for
I would.
sure, man. Because I mean, even now, and I think a lot of people joke about it when it comes to Hollywood and saying that they're running out of ideas because they keep bringing back all these classics from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and it's like nobody's really, at least in Hollywood, the whole indie film, when it comes to the directors, writers, indie film creators, bro. I mean, they're doing great things, and they do get films out there, which is great because I mean I do watch a lot of them, but when it comes to Hollywood, like they're not making it, bro.
Yeah,
So hopefully,
exactly.
we'll see. If it does inspire somebody or somebody would like to pick it up. I mean, of course, you mentioned it's only your Facebook account that you have open.
Yeah, right now that I don't have like an actual website. I'm just basically I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram and even though I don't really have much on there related to my writing, I mean I'm also on YouTube, but that's really about it. I mean if I started getting like a bigger fan base, I guess, or more readers, then I would probably go ahead and create a website. But just I right now I just don't really I just don't think there's really much of a need for it at the moment.
Well, I mean, and I will say this because I myself have a website, and I feel like it's a good thing, man. Because of course, you want a home base. A
Yeah.
lot of people are using Linktree, I think it is, and it's basically they put all their platforms on there, so that way, you yourself can be like, hey, I'm on Linktree. Here's my domain. They look you up, and then they can follow, your pages as far as what you have out there, like you mentioned, your YouTube because everything I have is on my website. And as much as I tell people like, oh, go to my website, and they're like, oh, what's the website name? And I'm like, everything's the same. The Coming Soon Podcast, .com, right? Simple, but it's still always I still always get asked, but it's just getting the right traffic. I mean, of course, being able to go out there in conventions. I'm at a convention like every weekend, it seems like, and I'm definitely meeting people, rubbing elbows, networking. So it does help, I mean, of course, you get out there and meet new people and just, hope that they follow, your platforms and support, man. But, I mean, you being out there and of course, I mean, even having these links, and I was going to ask you, because I'll definitely follow you on Instagram and your YouTube. I know I came across it when I was looking you up, but I'll definitely subscribe, man, and follow up. And if there's ever anything, of course, if you want to just jump on and talk to, because I mean, I've had other publishers out here, man, and of course, I appreciate everybody that jumps on. I mean, I always welcome return guests, bro. So if there's ever like, hey, you know what, I'm working on this now, or even if it's not even so much a self project, but if you have something you want to talk about, I'm game. Just hit me up, man. We'll definitely run it.
All right. Nice.
And
Okay.
And let me ask you, bro. I mean, of course, you mentioned as far as inspiration, earlier. You're talking about music. as far as other books, other writers, movies. When it comes to you writing, do you listen to music while you write? Just curious.
Usually not. Like I find it. I mean, I know a lot of people do love listening to music when they write, but to me, it just I don't know. I guess it's a little bit of a distraction, I guess. I mean, but I mean, I do love music. Don't get me wrong. I've like a huge like bipolar collection in my head of just music I love and every. I mean, I have like a huge taste of music, but yeah, usually though, I just when writing, I usually prefer quiet.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, and of course, I mean, you don't want to be halfway through something and you turned out you're writing the lyrics, right? But yeah, that's definitely you see. And I was gonna say this because I had a zine early '90s. I used to interview bands. I used to everything was paper format, and that's one of the things that yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about it because I was doing social media. I was networking before social media, like I was writing letters. I was doing had pen pals all over the world, like people in Germany and England and Spain. Waiting 2-3 weeks for a letter to get back or a month. Sometimes it took longer, but I mean, it was just I guess because everything was at a pace, we didn't really like sit around the house waiting for something. When it got there, it got there. When it comes to technology, I mean, of course, our phone, we look at our phone like every 5 seconds. It's just something that we're like, oh, who wrote or who did this or who did that. And, I, as much as I'm not a fan of, technology as far as, just it being a distraction, it is, man. I mean, I network like crazy. I'm always talking to people and trying to bring people on. But at the same time, there's times where I'm like, you know what, let me put everything away and I just sit down and watch a movie, spend the
Yeah.
evening, quiet and just relax because, it can get you, man. I mean, when it comes to networking, like I go to sleep thinking about stuff and I'm like, damn, I lose sleep, I can't sleep all 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever. But yeah, man, it's a pretty good to, get away every once in a while and just kind of get
Yeah.
lost. And that's kind of why I wanted to start getting back into books, man, because that would be a perfect distraction for myself to be able to just go one of the rooms and just, close the blinds and, peace and quiet and just get lost in the book, man.
Right. Yeah.
And of
Absolutely.
course, I mean, when it comes to your work, man, where can people get it? Where can, like, how can they order or get a hold of it?
Okay, well, Psychonautic and In Dreams, they're both available on Amazon. You can, just type in either Psychonautic or In Dreams, or you can type in Darren Frey, DarrenFrey, and there's somebody, James Fry. I think they're always the first result, even though you type my name in, they're always like the first result. But the next two are mine. But you can get them on paperback and Kindle there, and on Barnes and Noble you can get both books on paperback.
Oh,
But,
nice.
but yeah, so
Dude,
yeah, there's that, and then like I said, I'm getting ready soon to republish with both books with Nightmare Press, but you can still be able to find the books the same way. That's none of that's going to change or anything. But yeah, right now that's those are the only two places you can get them right now is Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
nice, bro. Let me ask you, man, because I'm always thinking like outside the box when it comes to things that I do. So I'm always like, man, what would be make things easier, or what would um, like for example, I mean, you publishing books, they're out there, of course. I mean, have you done like say like bookmarkers, like to promote, or have you done anything like that to promote your book while at the same time maybe selling a few items on the side?
No, I've just well, I sell. I'll get like I'll order some paperbacks from Amazon. Sell signed copies. I'll just advertise those on Facebook, and I've sold probably I've sold a good amount doing just like that. But as far as like bookmarkers and stuff like that go, I mean, I'd like to, I'd like to try to get into that, but right now it's just it seems like it takes all I can just to get somebody to pay enough attention, really, just to go and and download like the Kindle or something. But I mean, yeah, I mean I would like to expand, like just stuff like that, like have extra like merchandise and stuff. That would be a good idea, probably.
No, yeah. I mean, and that's just me, networking. I'm always trying to come up with something and ideas, and I've got I came up with my own, not even brand because there's no patent or nothing, but it's called Fried Snacks. And it's just like I basically private label like candy. So I'll give it out like during Christmas or during events, and my logo's on there. Fried Snacks, .com. It goes back to my website. So I just figured out, just kind of like an in-home type thing. But I mean, there's a lot of things that I do, man, and people are always like, "Damn, who's this? Who's that?" And I'm like, "Bro, it's me." It's still me, but it's just me promoting it different ways, to get attention or get fan base or get people to follow, and so it's a cool thing, man. I mean, of course, it costs money, so I only do it every once in a while. But I mean, at the same time, it's good for self promotion. I don't have to like give somebody a business card. I'm like, hey, here's a candy. Check it out. By the way, that's my website. Check us out. And I mean, they click it, follow us. I'm always looking for followers, of course. So if people jump on, they're great. But it's tough, man. Either way, I mean, I'm out there rubbing elbows with people, and it seems like it's a burden. Like me going up to, hey, can you like my page? Can you like this? Can you like, So I kind of just give up on it. If people ask, I'm like, cool. It's like I have this on my hat, and people are still like, oh, what's the name of your website? What's your name of your podcast? And I'm like, Coming Soon Podcast, man. Like, it's funny, it's weird, but it happens. But yeah, man. But of course, as far as t-shirts, man, have you ever done t-shirts to promote yourself?
I have not. That is another thing that I would like to get into, I guess, is to t-shirts. And I honestly wouldn't mind, having posters, because I've had a lot of people come to me and tell me that they really like the book cover designs. And so once I get this third book finished, I think once I get this third book finished, I'll get this like just big weight off my shoulders, and then once then I can try to start working more on trying to branch out more. But right now I just feel like all my attention, all my focus has been on just trying to get this done and over with, just to get it out. And
then afterwards you can sit back and think about what's next, right?
Yeah,
man. And you were talking about the writing the third book to finally close out the trilogy, right? I mean, you're talking about posters, and I was thinking like, man, it'd be cool to design something where you got to get all three posters to create one image. I don't know. It just it popped in my head, and I was like, man, like that'd be pretty dope, because now they got to buy all three of them, right? So they want to complete the poster or the image on there, man. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, well, of course, and I was going to ask you earlier. I mean, you did mention, the Lost Boys when it comes to vampires, man. Well, what's your favorite vampire movie, man?
Oh, tough one. I would probably say, that is a tough one. Probably Interview with the Vampire, but also probably Lost Boys, because I mean, The Lost Boys is just fun, I mean, it's a great, fun vampire movie. But then I guess as far as like more serious vampire movies go, probably Interview with the Vampire. I mean, it's a little different than the book, but still, I mean, that was my introduction to Anne Rice and her stories and everything. So I've kind of always adored it.
Nice, man. And of course, and I was going to say too, because I mean, of course, Lost Boys, for me personally, yeah, it would make sense, because when I first saw it, I was, I think, a few years like younger, but at the same time, I was like, man, I want to be that guy, I wanted to be the cool vampire, man. And so it just kind of, but yeah, it depends on the era, and I was thinking about that too. I mean, if you would ask me in the 80s, I would say Lost Boys. You asked me in the 90s, I was, you know what I mean? Like, it would change, like, we get older, we get wiser a little bit, so our taste kind of changes a little bit too, man. But makes sense, bro. But yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there though, man, for sure.
Yeah, I think I was 6 years old when Lost Boys came out, and I saw it like right after it came out on VHS, and I just fell in love with it instantly.
No, yeah, I think I know I was in elementary. I don't think I was in middle school yet when it came out, but I remember seeing that, and I was thinking, man, that was pretty, it was different. Definitely, like you said, it was fun. I mean, I'm when it comes to horror movies, I mean, I'm a big fan for horror comedies. So if it's funny and it's horror, like, I'm up for it, man. I'm like, yeah, okay,
Just the way the characters are portrayed in the story and everything. When you're that age, when you're a little boy, like, you look at it, you're like, wow, those people are cool, like.
I want to ride a motorcycle. I want to fly. I want to do this. I'm like, why not? Who wouldn't, right? I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
cool things about growing up. But man, but of course, my man. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, bro. I mean, I would love to bring you back on here. If once you get the second, is it gonna? I mean, would it be considered a second pressing? I mean, you doing the like the
Well,
reprint?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it could. I mean, I'm not going to change anything in it. It's
Right.
just it's still even going to be the same cover art. It's just I'm going to be republishing them with Nightmare Press, and you know, um, you know, Jacob Floyd's going to take the reins on that one. He's going to kind of help me out a little bit with that. So yeah, I mean, it's a big deal for me. I'm excited about it.
Oh,
But
no, yeah, man. I mean, that's definitely one way to keep it going. Keep it alive. I mean, of course, when it comes to books, they're not. I don't want to say they're not as big as they used to be. I mean, a lot of people went to digital now, like you mentioned earlier. On your computer. I mean, there's links, there's Kindle, there's other platforms out there people can read it on. But the same thing with movies. Movies they stop streaming, man. So with books, get a physical and it'll be there forever, man.
one more thing, I can't believe I forgot this. It's in the works right now, and I'm not entirely sure when it will be finished yet. But I am also in the process of having an audiobook recorded for Psychonautic through Audible, and I
Bro.
picked I found the best narrator. Like he has this really deep, calm voice. He almost the way he speaks, the way he's reading it, he almost sounds like the voice of Christian Bale when he's narrating American Psycho, just that calm, just that calm, deranged sort of just. It's what it reminds me of, and I'm in love with this guy's voice. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be
Oh,
available on Audible once it's finished.
yeah, you see, and that's another thing too, man. Because I still got audiobooks, man. I still got cassettes. I put them in, and I'm real big. Earlier, I had mentioned as far as if you were able to write while you're playing music. Because for me, like I always need white noise. If I'm doing something, I always need the TV on. I need the radio on. I need even if I'm not paying attention to it, like I just need something on. It just kind of soothes,
Yeah.
relaxes me, and it's just one of the how I'm able to like do other stuff. But even now, like, I got my TV on going on over there, man. So, of course, I gotta have something going. But man, but that's cool though, man. I mean, for sure, bro. I mean, you say you don't have a date as far as when that's gonna drop?
Yeah, I am not entirely sure yet. Yeah, because he's just now getting started on it. So it might still be a while.
Oh no, well, sure, man. I mean, that's definitely something to look forward to, man. Because I'm a fan of that too, bro. I mean, just when I first started doing podcasting, I still cover combat sports, and for me, it was more audio because I was like, you know what, I want to talk. I want people to be able to do what they're doing. I didn't want to distract them from, they're washing dishes, they're driving, they can listen to this. But people kept saying like, man, who are you talking to? Who's there? Who's that? And I was just like, you know what, I'll start doing video. So I started. The camera was my guest. And then after that, people were like, man, well, where you at? And I was like, damn, dude, like I'm trying not to be on camera. But but yeah, it's just so this is what came out of it, man, which is cool. I appreciate it, and it's definitely it's cool. I like it. I'm not big on when it comes to being out in public, even though I'm out there like every freaking weekend. But it's just for me, I'd rather be home chilling, watching TV and relaxing, man. But I enjoy it, man. I enjoy getting out there and getting to meet new people all the time and seeing a lot of old faces, and it's everybody's hustling it, man. So it's it's networking, so it's work.
Yeah. But then again, if it's you're enjoying it and it's not really work, it's just
No, yeah.
living the life.
No, yeah. You see, and I think the other quote I always tell my kids or everybody, it's like you love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life, man. And I live for that because I believe it, 100%. I just feel like it's if you're gonna enjoy it, like you said, then yeah, it's not gonna be work. It's just gonna be, like a reunion. I go to these fights and it's like I see people I haven't seen, even though they're on social media. Like I see them like every few months, and it's like we just take off like we were talked about last time. Hey, whatever happened to? Oh man, that's like 3 months ago. But it's just it's always cool to just be able to chit chat and reunite with people, man. You don't see on the regular. It's always pretty cool. My man. But of course, like I said, dude, I would love to bring you back on here. We'll definitely keep plugging in your work while we talk as far as what we can even do, and we'll do this. Um, I am gonna be looking for your book. Could you? I think you said they're available in Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so we
yeah. Paperbacks are on Barnes and Noble, and then the paperbacks and Kindles are on Amazon.
okay, because we got a Barnes and Nobles here, man. So I'm gonna go on the hunt and grab one. But
Well, I
what
mean,
I'm gonna
they're not in stores. They're not like actually in stores. They're just on the website.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha. So we
I
still have
wish they were in stores. That'd be nice, but not right
oh,
now. They're just on the website right now.
not a problem, man. Well, I'll definitely order one, man. I definitely want to start because, like I said, I mean, there's books. Every time I go to conventions, I always support and always buy one, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'll read it, and I don't. I got to get on that. I don't keep up with them. I put a bookmarker and I'm like, man, I'll finish it off. But it's something I definitely want to do because one of the things I've been doing is when I write, I write, when I read out loud just because with this, I'm able to pronunciate and talk and, say big words. People think I'm smart, but, but yeah, man, just be able to get out there and just break down, new words. Cause of course, like you mentioned earlier, man, your last name, everybody keeps saying Frey, but it's Fry or, we got to get used to stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
man, go
I
ahead.
usually make a joke when somebody says Frey. I make some kind of Game of Thrones joke, like, "No, I had nothing to do with it. If there's any disgruntled Starks around, I had nothing to do with it. I'm a Fry, not a Frey."
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I like it. I'm gonna use that. I mean, of course, I don't pronounce well. They shut up my last name too, but not that bad, bro. But my man, I'm gonna be in touch. I'm definitely gonna bring you back on here, man, and we'll keep talking. I mean, when it comes to books, and that's what I was gonna say, man. You can hold me liable as far as you can. Every time we get on here, you can ask me like, "Hey, man, what are you reading?" Because I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'm gonna start reading a book, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, look, I'm in the middle of this one. This is what I'm reading this week or this month or whatever," and we'll just go from there, man.
All right, sounds great.
Cool, brother. Well, I do appreciate you jumping on here, and of course, the fact that somebody gave you a referral out here, man. Of course, I appreciate them. I hope to have the wife, of course, back on here, man. I mean, I had her on here before, and it's definitely one return guest. I'd love to get back on here and just keep talking, man, because there's a lot of creativity out there, bro. And I mean, I'm real big when it comes to movies. I mean, a lot of people are, but I mean, of course, writing, the same thing. I mean, you guys do a lot of work, and man, I hope you get your way, and I hope somebody reads your book one day and says, man, let's turn this into a movie, brother.
That'd be nice. That'd be the dream.
Oh, no, for sure, man. We'll definitely put it out there, man. We'll see if we can make it happen, man. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for jumping on here. Don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, of course, once again, make sure Instagram, you see you're under your name when it comes to
Yeah, it's D Fry author, and that's I think the same as it is on Facebook, or it's Darren Frey author, and then on YouTube it's D Fry author as well.
Gotcha. Well, everybody out there, make sure and follow the guy. As always, this is Spider coming soon podcast. Till next time, follow it.